Welcome, everyone, to the November event, A Delicious, Nutritious Adventure, in collaboration with Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. My name is Carrie Bruno, and I'm a pharmacist, PBNM board member, and your host for tonight's event. Plant-Based Nutrition Movement is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to educate, inspire, and support those moving towards an evidence-based, whole, minimally processed, plant-based way of eating, as a way to improve health and quality of life for all ages. This event is open to everyone interested in health and wellness, whether you've never heard about a plant-based diet, you're curious about trying it, or you've already been following this way of eating for many years. We're all here to learn more and to help each other. We can always learn and share with each other information that's helpful and practical to make it easier to start and remain on a plant-based journey. With that in mind, we're changing these events up a little bit and focusing on seasonal ingredients and practical tips, as well as inviting guest speakers to share their experiences and healing stories with us. There are many definitions of an adventure. To most people, adventure means doing something new, unusual, or exciting, or taking a trip. An important part of most adventures is exploring an area and trying new cuisines. So we'll be traveling the world looking to various cultures to learn what similarities and differences make them unique. Each culture uses combinations of herbs, spices, and other ingredients to make food delicious and nutritious. And we hope you'll take this adventure with us, whatever your meaning and purpose for being here is. This specific event is held monthly on the third Tuesday of the month. And this program will be recorded and available for future viewing or sharing on our PBNM YouTube channel. These events are free to attend, and we welcome donations to pbnm.org to cover our production costs. If you'd like to learn more information about this group, PBNM, and future events, go to pbnm.org to learn more. With that, let me tell you what's in store for you tonight. We have two speakers with us. Our featured guest for tonight is Marguerite Ruminski, sharing her own remarkable healing story from a 1997 multiple sclerosis diagnosis to a food as medicine holistic lifestyle. She'll also be giving us a glimpse into her Greek heritage, and will be sharing a family favorite weekday recipe that's been handed down for generations. After Marguerite's presentation, we will have our second speaker, Janet Pearson. She is a PBNM board member and a one-on-one plant-based coach. She will be taking 10 to 15 minutes and introducing our seasonal segment. She'll be sharing some festive cranberry and pomegranate recipes with us. And after both speakers, we'll leave about 15 to 20 minutes at the end for questions. Everyone except the speakers will be muted throughout the presentation, and we ask that everyone remain muted to avoid interruptions and background noise. Please use the chat box for questions if you have any, and we will be monitoring that throughout the presentation. So without further ado, let's get this started. I'm going to introduce our featured guest. Marguerite Ruminski is the owner of Healthy Sins Incorporated, the vegan cafe in downtown Lockport, the area's only raw vegan cafe outside of Chicago. Marguerite was born and raised in the southeast side of Chicago. Her 40 years in the workforce has included a successful career in the areas of sales, customer service management, environmental, health, and safety compliance management, as well as graduate instructor at Purdue University. She also holds a master's degree in liberal arts and sciences from Purdue University. After receiving a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis in 1997, Marguerite sought to change her lifestyle in order to manage her health. She chose to leave her corporate position to follow her passion for cooking and opened a catering company. Healthy Sins Incorporated was then established. In September 2013, Healthy Sins Incorporated purchased the vegan cafe. Already focused on healthy food and lifestyle, the cafe was the natural addition to promote health and wellness through diet. Following her MS diagnosis, Marguerite was advised by her physicians to immediately begin treatment. However, she chose to try a holistic approach first through dietary changes. Now, over 25 years since her diagnosis, and to the amazement of her medical team, Marguerite has been able to positively manage her health through food and exercise without the use of disease-modifying drugs. She has proven that food is thy medicine to be true. So without further ado, welcome Marguerite, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, folks, and thank you for having me. Well, as Carrie mentioned, I do own the Vegan Cafe out in Lockport, and I guess I need to start by telling you the story of my medical diagnosis. I started having exacerbations 30 years ago. First exacerbation was December of '92, where I had lost the vision in one eye. And after going to several neurologists, nobody could figure out what it was, telling me they were hysterical symptoms and just go home and rest. And after having several of those exacerbations over the period of about 3 years, finally I had a physician perform an MRI, and that's when they found lesions on my brain and found that I did have multiple sclerosis. I visited a neurologist at Rush Presbyterian, and I remember clear as day as he looked at me and said, "I'm looking at you as a clock, and you're at 12 o'clock, but you're more at 12:01, and I'm going to recommend you start taking treatment." And I said, "What's the treatment?" He said, "Injections." Well, the word shot and I do not do well together. I'm terrified of needles. And I said, I said, "What's the risk if I don't do it?" And he said, "Well, it seems like it's in the beginning stages, but I would recommend you doing some type of treatment, which again is shots." And they were daily shots too. And he said, "And my concern is if you don't do something now to combat the disease, you probably won't be walking by the time you're 50. I am now 62 and I am walking. And I'm not running, but I am walking. And if I run, you better run too." And with that being said, I said, let me just go ahead and see what I can do as far as try and do this the holistic way. I did find a neurologist that was very much to my liking in Northwest Indiana, in Munster, as a matter of fact. And he was vegan. And I did not know that at the time. But anyway, when I told him, I'm going to start doing better nutrition, I'm going to try and diet and exercise and do what I need to do, he wholeheartedly supported me. And in addition to the food and the exercise, as Carrie mentioned, I do have a background in sales, customer service, an extensive background. And I actually was with waste management for about 20 years. And I will tell you, if you want to make changes in your life, please make sure you try to get rid of as much stress as you possibly can. And the job that I had, although it was a lucrative position, I did well in it, it just about destroyed me. If you've been in the corporate environment, you are doing all you can to make money for the bottom line. And unfortunately, you sometimes have to forget about your own needs. And my concern was, how do I do better? I've got to make money, I've got to meet my goals and do my quotas. And as a result, I think that stress really took its toll on me. I'll fast forward to, oh my gosh, I think it was 2007 or so. I had such a bad exacerbation that I took a leave of absence. And that was, I developed something known as paresthesis, which is a tightening around the body where the nerves are constantly constricting. It's almost like being engulfed. If somebody tied a rope around you, you're walking around with that feeling around your body the whole time. So anyway, I went home one day after feeling just terrible. I said, told my husband, I need to get out of this. I said, either physically, spiritually, or emotionally, I'm going to die in this job. Something's going to kill me. And I remember he said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to cater. As Carrie and Janet had mentioned, I have a Greek background, so my whole family was in the restaurant business. And although to the dismay of my mother, my father had passed in '90 and he was in the restaurant business, but she said, your father never wanted this life for you. Have an education, go do something else with it. But my heart was in that business. And that's when I had created Healthy Since. And I started to cater actually for the people that I used to work for. So I eventually left that corporate position and focused solely on the catering. And now I'll fast forward to September 1st of 2013. I had found the vegan cafe of all things through a Groupon. I've never bought a Groupon in my life, but I found that one. And so my husband and I went for dinner, and I just fell in love with the place. And they were volunteer based at the time. So I decided to start volunteering my time. They also taught classes. And I decided to start taking some of these classes. I had vegans that I was catering to also. And I learned the business. And after quite a bit of time volunteering, the owner walked up to me and asked me if I wanted to purchase it. And I thought she was out of her mind, but I couldn't get that out of my head. So again, on September 1st of 2013, I'm signing papers to buy this cafe, not having any idea what I'm doing, but it happened. So between Healthy Sins and now the vegan cafe, now, I'm catering to non-vegans and now vegans. And that was perfect for what I was doing to help my health. Left the corporate position, got rid of that stress, but now I was faced with a new kind of stress, which was my own, because now I'm responsible for myself. And when I say that it helped my health, it taught me about being vegan. I was never vegan before. I was a meat eater. We would roast lamb at Easter, and that was our thing. I won't touch it now, but it's just a way that I've evolved. I primarily do the vegan thing now for ethical and health reasons. When I changed my diet to vegan, or even in the beginning vegetarian, because I couldn't give up my feta cheese, I had to have that cheese, and I'll explain that in a minute. We have alternatives as well, but my body just felt completely different. I felt light. My memory was better. I would sleep better. So between the combination of diet and exercise and getting rid of the stress, I've been able to maintain. And as Carrie mentioned, I take no disease modifying drugs. I just try to do the best I can with what I have. I'm going to give you a side note too. My father passed away in 90, and my mom moved in with us when we built our house in Homer Glen in 99. And she just passed about 3 years ago at age almost 99. And I remember the doctor saying she was just so remarkable. How is she doing so well? Because I put her on a vegan diet. And she had overcome a number of obstacles as far as her health. And, from high blood pressure to diabetes to heart problems and general heart problems. And she did so well on this diet. And, I tell people, I'm not out to convert anybody by any means. My purpose is to educate you. People come into the cafe and say, oh my gosh, I'm not vegan. I don't care. I want to make sure you're happy on your own journey. I'm not here to insult anybody or belittle anybody. I want to tell you what the benefits are of this diet. Now, as far as the fare that we serve, we are whole food plant-based, and we are raw, as Carrie mentioned. We don't cook anything beyond 110 degrees, and that is a dehydration process. And the reason we do that is because it basically solidifies the fact that you're getting the most out of your vitamins, enzymes, and nutrients. Nothing is cooked out of it. Because if you think about it, the minute you introduce a heat source to your food, not only are you cooking out vitamins, enzymes, and nutrients, you're also cooking out flavor. You're burning out the flavor, which is why we add so many, spices and salt of all things. You don't really want to use that much salt. And the great thing is, with the whole food plant-based, when you put whole foods together, the flavors just pop. And I'm actually going to go to my screen over here. I want to show you the first slide. For example, this is a leaf wrap that we do. Now, that sauce in the middle is a sweetened sesame ginger dressing, which is the dipping sauce for these wraps. That is a collard leaf, and on the inside of the collard leaf is a pumpkin seed cheese. Whole foods, pumpkin seeds, garlic, ginger, cilantro, and tamari, which is an upgraded soy sauce. When you put these flavors together, this is almost like a very healthy egg roll, completely raw, and again, use it as a dipping sauce. I'm going to go to another screen here. This is a portobello steak burrito. What we do is we take the mushrooms and we marinate them in olive oil, lemon juice, and tamari. Again, that's upgraded soy sauce. And you do that overnight. And that is a corn flax wrap. Whole kernel corn, flaxseed, water, sea salt, and some Mexican seasonings to your liking. Little chili powder, cumin, cayenne, and sea salt. And that is, again, that is our corn flax wrap. Inside that inside that steak burrito is also a homemade guacamole that we do. And we also have some caramelized onions in there as well. For the meat eaters in the crowd, you have to try the nachos. That tortilla chip is at the exact same recipe as the burrito that I just showed you. The difference is these are dehydrated overnight. The others are dehydrated for 3 hours. That is a taco meat made with almonds, sun-dried tomatoes, and Mexican seasonings again. The white on top, that sour cream, is nothing more than cashews, lemon juice, and olive oil. Now, at the cafe, we will offer classes. In fact, I've started them up since the pandemic. We just started about 3 weeks ago. So if you're interested in learning this, by all means, please contact me and I can definitely help you with this. Our focus is to educate the public, like I say. So that's why we offer the classes. And, you know, not only will you learn how to do this, I'm also going to open up the prep table to you. I want you to try these things. We're passionate about the food that we serve and to show you how good this can be. And it doesn't have to be cooked. And you get the full benefit of what you're eating with your vitamins and enzymes. The other thing at the cafe, we offer a meal plan. It is 10 meals and 2 complimentary juices. And I'll get to the juicing in a second too. And that never expires. It is only for you though, because I had somebody come in and say, I'm going to buy the meal plan and here are my 9 friends, we'll all eat. That's not the purpose of it. We want to promote a healthy lifestyle. When I mentioned the juices, let me see if I can find. Each morning, I'm there at the crack of dawn juicing whatever is in our refrigerator, and organic fruits and vegetables, and no preservatives, no water, no sugar added. And if you, the one to the left would be a special juice, and that varies every day, whatever I can find at the market that might be on sale, or I think it's going to be a good combination. I'm big on using young coconut because it's so healthy for you. It's a good type of fat and high in antioxidants, and the water from the coconut itself is like a natural Gatorade, if you will. I don't really like to use Gatorade, but as an example, but really it's full of electrolytes and it will really give you that burst of energy that you need. That red one is a beet juice. Actually, let me flip to the orange one to the far right. That's organic oranges, apples, and carrots. I also put in turmeric and ginger, and then a dash of black pepper to activate the turmeric to give you more of an antioxidant. Now, that's the orange. If you look at the red one, it is the exact same thing as the orange, but we add organic beets to it. And that is very heart healthy for you. It's great for increasing red blood cells. Just great for digestion as well, especially with the turmeric and the ginger. And the green one is, oh gosh, anything I can find green. Cucumbers, celery, green apples, spinach, chard, lettuce. I do a lot of wheatgrass too. And again, great just to boost your energy level. And just when I know I'm getting a cold, I go after these juices. And I have to tell you about our desserts too. The one thing I want to tell you, we do not use any refined sugar or hydrogenated oils whatsoever. We sweeten naturally with dates and agave. Now, I know there may be some people out there saying, oh my gosh, skull and crossbones, agave don't. It's high fructose corn syrup. That can be true, but the one that I use is an organic, non-GMO, raw agave. And that is more forgiving to the pancreas, and it does not spike your insulin level. And that is one of the things. My mom had a huge sweet tooth, and I would give her especially these brownies that she loved. And again, sweetened with agave, just in moderation. I am not a physician by any means. I would not tell you to go ahead and do this without consulting with someone. But again, it is an alternative dessert to, the high sugar, because these are natural. We also use organic dates. So really, those are our two sources of sweeteners. I've been asked before, well, what about stevia? That is not in a whole food form. If you were to give me the stevia leaf and I could somehow blend it, I would do that. But we use the whole foods. The agave that we use is basically extracted from the plant and put directly into the bottle and then capped and sold. And you will know the difference. One, make sure if you do buy agave that it does say raw, because if it doesn't, that means it's processed, and that they have put, for lack of a better way to put it, it's almost like a pasteurization process that they go through. It's heated to a boiling point, and at that point, it mimics high fructose corn syrup, because now you've changed the chemical composition of it. So stay away from that one. But again, the agave that we use is actually pretty good for you. We have our own, if you see right around the strawberries, you will see turtles. I used to love Fannie Mae turtles, and we were able to go and make our own. And we do have a caramel made with dates and pecans, and that's really all it is. And the really neat thing about what we do, and I realize I'm jumping and I apologize for that, things keep coming to my mind. Everything that you see on any of these trays or these plates are really no more than 5 ingredients. For example, again, as I mentioned, the caramel is just dates and pecans, and we throw a little vanilla in there for flavor. The chocolate ganache that you see on top of, in the next row, the turtle brownies, agave, cacao powder, vanilla, and agave, and that's it, 3 ingredients. And that is a healthy Hershey syrup. If you wanted to use that for chocolate milk, I would definitely do a cashew-based cream. Just put cashews and water in a high-speed blender and strain it, and then add some your chocolate syrup to it, and you get yourself some chocolate milk. It's actually very easy to do this. And that's what we teach through the classes too. People come in and talk about how they're so intimidated and it's so difficult to do this. It's not. It's a matter of you have to prepare everything. Just write it on paper what your ingredients are. If you go to make that brownie, it's not like you're leaving out the baking powder and your brownie is going to flop. We don't bake anything. So the brownies themselves are just dates, cacao powder, vanilla, and agave. 5 ingredients. And that actually turns out to be like fudge, and it's really decadent. Let's see what else I can go here. This is our infamous almond butter pie. Your basic pie crust, any nut that you want to use, and dates, and a pinch of sea salt just to enhance that flavor. That's our crust. Dates, on this one, it's dates and pecans and sea salt. The filling here is just almond butter, which we grind on site, and banana, and a little bit of cinnamon, and then the chocolate ganache that I mentioned that's on top. I'll give you an apple pie. We actually do apple pies there too. And that is basically the caramel sauce, a little bit thinned out, and then put your apples in there. And then what I like to do is put an orange in there too for a little bit extra flavor. Couple of the other things that we have, our pastas are spiral cut zucchini noodles. Just we have an attachment to a KitchenAid that, and actually you can buy zoodle, any of the spiralizers anywhere. And then our sauces complement them. This is a pad thai sauce, and that is made with almond butter, garlic, ginger, agave, and tamari again. And I keep mentioning tamari, and the one thing I want you to know, we do have allergy-free menus. I have a lot of people with different health concerns that come in and say, I can't do soy. I'm going through chemotherapy for breast cancer. I can't do any of the soy. We do have these different menus. We have agave-free, we have soy-free, nut free, basically anything nightshade free. I mean, you name the ailment, we could probably accommodate you. And we have a staff that's very attuned to the needs of our guests. And if you do have an issue, just tell us and we're going to do everything we can to give you something that you're going to enjoy. Trying to look at my cheat sheets. Told you about the meal plan. We are dine in and carry out. So if you come in and you decide you want, grab it and go, we'll get that ready for you. We do host private parties on Sundays. The facility is closed on Sundays, and we're happy to rent that out. And we do catering as well. And I've done everything from 2 people to 600 people, which again takes a lot of preparation too. But oops, I'm sorry. Did I lose it? Wait a minute. Uh-oh. Did I lose my?
Marguerite, we still see your screen and the presentation.
You do? Okay, I cannot see it on my end now. I lost it. Where in the world? All right, actually, I think I went through most of those anyway, but I guess the best thing I can tell you is even if you replace a meal a day or a couple meals a week with a whole food plant-based diet, I promise you're going to be doing your body a whole host of good. The minute I switched to a vegan diet, my life completely changed. Now, I'm going to share this with you too. I took care of my mom. She lived with us probably about 20 years. And my focus was more on taking care of her. And especially as she started to deteriorate toward the end, I was more worried about what she would eat than what I would eat. And it was more like, if you're a parent, you eat whatever's on the child's plate. So I would eat whatever she didn't. And if it wasn't vegan, I mean, I did switch her to the vegan diet toward the end, especially, but I didn't care what I ate. I just had to worry about her and making sure she had her nutrition. But when she passed 3 years ago, I made sure I switched completely to a vegan diet. And again, that has changed my life. I've baffled the doctors. They don't know how it's been done. Commitment. And as the website says, food is thy medicine. And I wholeheartedly believe that you are what you eat. And I'm living proof of that. And so are the people that I've taken care of. So I feel like I'm leaving something out.
Marguerite, if you're done with the screen share, do you want to get out of that so we could see your face bigger? Because we only see little Marguerite in the corner. Do you know how to stop the share, or Carrie?
Okay, if not, I can handle that for you since your screen is
ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. There
we are. Oh, there's my presentation again. Trying to see if I left anything out. Told you about the juices. And I'll avail myself to anybody. If you need to talk to me about anything, if you you're more than welcome to call, email. I can give you my information. Is there a way? Should I just recite it, or?
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know if anybody has a pen handy, but I'm going to give you 2 ways to get a hold of me. My email address is rum96@comcast.net. You can always email me there, and just you may want to put in the subject vegan question, just so I know it's not spam, and I'll answer. I'm also very happy to give you my cell phone number if you need to either text or call me, and that is 708-227-7177. Again, 708-227-7177. The recipe, Janet, we talked about the Greek recipe. I'm going to give you a recipe that actually, I laugh about this. It's got to be at least 4 generations old. So we're talking way back. And it is part of my Greek heritage. I was raised on this, and it is a Greek spinach and rice. This particular dish is not raw though. Janet, is there, did you include that on anything? Or do
It
you,
will be, we will add it, it's in a document, we'll add it to the notes when we put it on YouTube. So
okay,
it'll be in the notes, your recipe with your contact information.
okay, great. And what I want to talk about with that recipe, I mean, you can't get more healthy than this. It's rice, spinach, tomatoes, a bay leaf, and onion. I do coat the bottom of the pan with oil. If you wanted to try it without oil, go ahead. I have not done that. I can't deviate from the recipe that I was raised on. But the other thing, I was walking through one of the grocery stores today. I went, well, what if they don't want rice? Cauliflower rice. Just use that. You know, that's another alternative if you want to get away from the rice. I've also included in, I know Janet and Carrie have this, it'll be in that, in the YouTube video. I also gave you a recipe for a raw vegan cranberry cheesecake. So give that a try. I mean, it is, we have done over 350 flavors of cheesecakes at the cafe. And we typically don't do the same one twice unless it's a holiday like Thanksgiving, where we bring back the pumpkin spice and the cranberry cheesecake. Take note though, if you might want to make a mental note of this, the recipe that I gave you for the cranberry sauce on top, you don't have to use cranberries. It's dates, and in that one I said dates, oranges, and cranberries in a food processor until it's thick, and keep adding dates until it gets thick, almost like a jelly. You don't have to use cranberries. You can do strawberries, you can do raspberries, you can do any other fruit that you want. My point is that makes a great jelly for a breakfast sandwich if you want to try that. And it's natural.
Sounds great.
Did I leave anything out, Janet?
No, I think you covered it. If
Yeah.
anyone has any questions, they feel free, that people that are here live could put in the chat if you have questions for Marguerite. And she could get to them either now, or I could just hop on to my presentation with the cranberries and pomegranate. I don't see any messages in the chat.
Okay.
So, well, thanks, Marguerite. And
And
I just
thank you,
want to,
folks.
I want to thank Marguerite because the way I met Marguerite is when I decided I was going to be vegan, she's part of my story, and I want to thank her here because I learned about the vegan diet through Dr. Kim Williams at Veggie Fest. I knew no one else that, no family, friends, nobody at work, nobody was vegan. Everybody thought I had horns or I was from Mars, saying that I wanted to be a healthy vegan. And so I started on the internet. I found the vegan cafe. I saw that on her website she had cooking classes, but there was no schedule. Nothing was on the calendar. And I was working full time, and I was off over the holidays. And I'm like, oh, are you going to have any? I could make cooking classes if you had any over the Christmas holiday. And she said, well, I don't have any scheduled. But then after I was very persistent. I think I continued to email you and say, oh, what kind of classes? Maybe I was asking her questions and being very persistent because I was in sales too. So I knew how to be persistent. So eventually she emailed me back and said, I'll tell you what, I could tell you really want a class. I'll come in on a Saturday and I'll just do a one-on-one class with you. You remember this?
I do.
And she,
we had a great time too.
we had soup. She's like, what do you want me to teach you? And I said, well, soups are good. This is a good time. I can't get my head around a raw vegan soup without cooking it. So that would be good. So she taught me how to make soups in the Vitamix. And at the time, I didn't even have a Vitamix. But after you demonstrated how easy a Vitamix and how it blends everything, I went out searching for one. So it was, Marguerite, you are my very first vegan in face-to-face cooking class that I've ever attended. And I'm very grateful.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So anyway, it's been a fun journey, right? That was probably back in 2016, maybe?
Probably.
17. But anyway, I'm going to talk about what's on sale. I don't know, am I on full screen when I'm talking, or am I on little? Full screen when I'm talking. Okay.
Full screen.
because I only see little me in the corner. But I'm going to start with pomegranates because they're in season. Pomegranates and cranberries are in season, and they're so brightly colored. They're beautiful. This one I got from Jewel today. It's round and shiny, and this is how they usually look in the store when you get them. They have this crown on the top of it, and that's the part that you cut off. I'm going to give you some tips on cutting it off. And this is one, I don't know if you could tell, but it's a little drier looking, but it's still good because the seeds are inside. And I bought that one from Aldi, and today at Jewel, the pomegranates at Jewel store in our area, they were on sale for 99 cents. Normally they're between $1.50 up to $3 or $4 each based on the market. But they actually started, they're grown all over the world now, and they started originally in the Middle Eastern. And that's why many of the Middle Eastern type of recipes have a lot of pomegranates. And one of the syrup type, or it's called pomegranate molasses, it's in a bottle, and it's you just use a tiny bit. It's very tart, and it's used for balsamic with balsamic vinegars to make dressings, or you could put them in dips. I've seen it in a variety of recipes just to add a little extra tang, tart, sweetness all together, and the nutrition. So the pomegranates, let me just, if people are not sure what to do with it and how to open it, the worst thing you want to do is what my dad used to do when we were little, is like cut it in half and have all the red and seeds everywhere, and you have red on your fingers and red everywhere. So that's not the best way to do it. The better way to do it, and I only learned because I Googled YouTube and watched a few people, you take a little paring knife, and this crown part, I'm not going to do it, but I'm just going to show you. You cut out this part, and it goes just about a 1/2 inch deep. So you just kind of cut around it. And then once you do that, you could see there's usually about 4, 5, sometimes even 6 sections. See, there's some of the sides are flat. It's not totally round like an orange. So where these little bumps are, there's a membrane, and that goes down from the top to the bottom, almost like sections of an orange. But once you get into the top, you could see where those sections are. Then you take just the tip of your knife and you just score down about, well, I'm trying to get them score down right here, like about about the 3/4 of the way. And you do that on all of the seams where the membrane is. And then you just take a bowl of water, a big bowl, fill it with water, and dunk this in the water. And just let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes. The water will soften the skin and also the membrane, which is the yellow part inside. And then after it's soaked a little bit, you could just take your fingers, leaving it underwater. You separate the pieces, and it almost opens like looks like a big, what are those big red flowers that are this time of year? Poinsettias. It almost looks like a big poinsettia with big leaves. And then you gradually, with your fingers, just gently take all the seeds, kind of take them, separate them from the membrane, and they will actually sink to the bottom of the water. And the membrane, any little pieces that separates, it will float. So I take a strainer or a spoon, remove those, and then I strain them. And then you usually have about, from a pomegranate, you'll get about, I would estimate, a whole cup. So those whole little containers that they're selling for $4.99, 99 cents, you could have 5 times that amount. That you could also buy it pre-made or pre-done in the refrigerator section. So you save a lot of money when you do it yourself, especially if they are at a good price. And the reason that pomegranates are so popular is because they add this kind of an accent. They almost look like little ornaments to me. They're shiny little ornaments, and when you bite into them, they have a burst of juice that comes out, and they're very flavorful. I like topping them on a salad. to add colors with oranges, and they go good with greens, and really cabbage for coleslaw. So you can mix it with a variety of salads. You can also mix them with Brussels sprouts. You can mix them with broccoli. You can top them with desserts. Usually you don't cook the pomegranate seeds. Usually they're used raw, which really gets the most benefit out of them. I haven't juiced them. Marguerite had shared with us that the seeds inside are kind of tough on your juicers, so you may not want to juice it, but you could buy pomegranate juice in the store, and you want to be sure to buy it and look on the ingredients that there's no sugar added, because a lot of times it'll say pomegranate cocktail or cranberry cocktail instead of 100% juice. And that means they're really using the red color from the pomegranate or the cranberries. And there's other juices like apple juice, pear juice, grape juice may be mixed into that cocktail. But I love it. Putting them on puddings, putting them on oatmeal, but figure out some ways that you can incorporate the cranberry into your, your menus for the holiday. Actually, I saw a really cute, which I think I'm going to try it. They were little tiny cupcake type cheesecakes, and it was a key lime flavor, and so it's light green, and it had the pomegranate seeds crumbled on top. So that sounded really festive for the holidays. And they do have a lot of antioxidants, heart benefits, anti-inflammatory benefits. They have they're just good for your memory. There are some in my show notes. I have links that will talk more specifics about the long names of the antioxidants that are in the pomegranate as well as the cranberries. So you could do a little reading on it. So they're not only tasty, but they're good for us, and they add a lot of nutrition in those little punches of spice. They're almost like sweet tart candies, which is probably what they designed. The chemist that designed those sweet tart candies probably took the flavors of things like pomegranate. They're considered a berry, both pomegranate and cranberries, which you could buy cranberries in a bag. You could buy them fresh or frozen, or you could buy them dried. But the problem when you buy them dried, they look like raisins. Most of the time when you buy them just in a regular store, like this bag happens to have sugar and oil added. So be sure to look on the ingredients. I actually tried to soak those to get the oil off of them, and it was really not good looking. The oil did come out, some of it, and it rehydrated, but I'm not really using those. I'm looking online to purchase some that are oil-free as well as sugar-free. So the cranberries actually are really small, and they're bright red when they are fresh, and they are dried almost like raisins when you purchase them dried. And one idea that I recently thought that I'm going to do for anybody who has a dehydrator, a way you can buy them and dehydrate them, a quick tip is just put them in your food processor and pulse them so they get not creamy or not pulverized or not a puree, but just like a kind of a chopped nut texture. And then from there, put them on your tray in the dehydrator, dehydrate them until they're dry. And then you could use those in bakery, or you can rehydrate them and use them in cranberry sauces. And cranberry pairs really well with orange, and sometimes you could add cinnamon or anise, people say, that little holiday flavor. Sometimes clove, and sometimes nutmeg. So all of those warming spices are good paired with the cranberry. Cranberry sauces are very popular and easy to make. In fact, at the last class that I attended at Marguerite, she showed us how to make her cranberry sauce. That is what cranberry, and it was orange and a little touch of cinnamon and dates. And I think the cranberry to date ratio, she said, was 1 to 1. So that's that'll give it the sweetness that, but not overly sweet, because you still want it to taste tart and sharp, but not overly too sour. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Oh, in the show notes, let me pull up my notes and tell you some of these recipes that I found. And all of these recipes will be links when we have the YouTube posted. I'm just going to read some of these off. With pomegranate, wild rice with arugula and an oil-free dressing, pomegranate pilaf, roasted oil-free Brussels sprouts with pomegranate hummus dressing, a salad with another dressing, pomegranate dressing, warm lentil salad with pomegranate and oil-free vinaigrette. So these are all different dressing recipes. Another one had a sorbet with blueberry and pomegranate, a balsamic pomegranate dressing, breakfast tacos with pomegranate salsa. That sounds interesting. Broccoli rice bowl with pomegranate and grilled tofu. A vegan sheet pan, sesame, pomegranate, tofu, and broccoli. And then desserts, the key lime cheesecake with the pomegranate seeds for Christmas, green and red colors. And then some of the recipe links that you'll be able to just click on for cranberries are, I actually typed up my cranberry dressing recipe, and I'll just tell you, 1/4 cup of fresh cranberries with 3 to 4 dates pitted, about 1/4 cup of water, 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and 1 to 2 teaspoons of mustard. You just blend that up, and you could also, instead of the water, you could use orange juice or apple juice for a little variety of flavors. So it's perfect on a fruity salad, or even it goes good with a red cabbage salad with orange slices on top. So I usually make that for the holidays. And then some of the other cranberry recipes from Kathy Fisher. She has a loaf with gravy and cranberries in a muffin tin. So that's a nice holiday appetizer you could make. Stuffed butternut squash roast with stuffing and cranberries or pomegranate seeds mixed in the stuffing. There's broccoli salads, there's cranberry orange muffins, cranberry muffins that are oil-free, bread, cranberry and orange bread. Let's see, there's cake recipes with carrot and cranberry combinations. There's cranberry relish from Chef AJ. If you're a follower of Chef AJ, I'm posting her recipe, which is basically 1 bag of fresh cranberries with 2 oranges, dates to taste, or pears, or dried cherries, and chia seeds are optional to make it thicker, about a few tablespoons, and then a can of lime, some lime juice you could add, or ginger if you like ginger, to add a little variety. You basically just process those in a food processor, and you can make it chunky if you like it a little thicker, or you could puree it until it's smooth, and that makes a nice condiment. I just had some for dinner with leftover some cranberry relish over a sweet potato, and I put some pecans on it. So that was a tasty part of my dinner tonight. And then I had a family party recently where my family is the only vegan. So I wanted to bring something that was very colorful in a glass bowl. So I layered red cabbage with some kale, with carrots, all diced or shredded basically. And then I put raisins in it. And then my dressing was balsamic vinegar, white vinegar, and water, and little maple syrup, and I blended up frozen mango and frozen strawberry, and it made a really good dressing. And then on the top of it, I sprinkled the little seeds from the pomegranate, and I had orange slices on top. And I'll tell you, all of my family loved it, but I had more, and a few of my cousins actually tried it. Everyone who tried it loved it. So this is the way I think the best way we could attract our family members that aren't really sure what vegan is, or they don't know what we eat. And it's just, if we expose them and share different recipes with them and have a taste of it, it will pull them in and they will want to know more about it. Another recipe that I brought to the same party was a chocolate pudding, and I just whipped up some chocolate cacao in my food processor with sweet potatoes and pumpkin puree, and I put a little cinnamon in it. And it looked like a mashed up sweet potato with a hint of chocolate. And everyone who tried that also enjoyed it. And then also, since Marguerite is Greek, I was able to find a collection of traditional Greek recipes, 25 traditional recipes. Some of them use oil, but they're mostly using chickpeas, and I'm pretty sure they're all vegan. I wouldn't post anything that is not vegan, but some of the recipes that I posted, just wanted to mention that they may have oil in them, because sometimes it's hard to find recipes that don't have they're totally oil or salt, oil, sugar free. So some of the substitutes that I like to use for oil are, just based on what I'm making, would be just aquafaba, which is the juice, the water that comes out of the can, the chickpea can. I save that, and if I'm not going to use it right away, I freeze it in ice cube trays, and then I have just enough to add, thaw out, and use for either a sauce or a topping for something roasted. If it's a roasted vegetable, that usually works well to get the spices to stick with it, or stick on the potatoes. Let's see, in baking, a substitute for oil is applesauce or bananas, avocado, pumpkin puree, what am I trying to say? Prune puree, which I usually only find in the baby section. That Mary McDougall has a lot of that in her bakery, like chocolate cakes and brownies and things that she's baking. And oil, am I missing one? Carrie, do you know any other, do you have to add any, do you have any tips to add on substituting oil?
I guess
we're cooking?
Depend on what you're using it for. Like you mentioned in baking, I think those are some good substitutes. But if you are just like sauteing and cooking, you can either eliminate it or use just like water or broth. So yeah, it depends on what the purpose is for it being in the recipe, but there are definitely multiple substitutions you can use, or in some cases you can just leave it out.
Right. Good. Yeah, it's easy to substitute. So in any of the recipe links that we will be posting on the YouTube channel, it's PBNM YouTube channel, pbnm.org. And then if you click more after the description, there's a few lines, then there's a little word, it says more. It'll be either there, and then if it doesn't all fit there, because there may be limited characters there, it'll be in the comments section. So look for all the links there. The nutrition, the recipes, Marguerite's recipe will be posted there. And if you have any problems, just email us. We get the emails when you email PBNM, so we will be happy to answer any questions that you have. Is there any questions from anyone that's watching about anything that we've talked about? Because that concludes my presentation.
Yeah, if anyone watching live has questions, you can put them in the chat and I will relay them to either one of the speakers. Since there aren't any questions yet, I do have a couple of my own. So first one's for Marguerite. I know you mentioned you do classes, cooking classes. Are those in person, virtual, both?
At the moment, they're in person.
Okay.
And the reason that I do that, I know people have, why don't you do the virtual? I don't think there's anything to substitute for that in-person experience. When you get there, and as I started mentioning when I started to speak, not only will I teach you how to do whatever the subject matter is that day, I'm going to have you try everything in the prep table too. I'm excited about what we do, and I'm not out to convert anybody, but I want to make sure you know what's available so you know how good this food is and how good it is for you. And if you don't mind, I'm going to backtrack 1 second. I don't know if I mentioned this or not. We are completely raw, vegan, gluten-free, non-GMO, organic, refined. I don't know if I said that or not, but I'm going to reiterate it now. Refined sugar-free, hydrogenated oil-free. So sorry, I had to throw that in.
And you do
No, I
have an
love that.
oil-free separate menu for people that are following a strict oil-free
We do.
diet.
Just tell us what you're allergic to or what you're avoiding, and we're happy to help you. Yeah,
Great.
in person, the classes are usually on a Saturday morning. They last about 2 hours.
So
And how
another,
do they find the schedule?
oh,
I'm sorry?
Do you want to tell them how they find the schedule and what the
Oh,
classes are?
you can Google Vegan Cafe Lockport, get onto the website, and I'll have classes scheduled in the classes tab. Or, I've given you my information. You're welcome to call me or text me, whatever, and I can give that to you as well.
And they're limited to 10 people, right?
I
So
try to.
Right.
Unless we're going to do a larger class, and then the group is kind of difficult because it's just hard to, I want to make sure everybody gets the full benefit of it.
Great. I enjoyed it. I learned so much every time. Plus meeting other vegans and people interested in healthy eating.
Great environment, it really is.
yeah, classes sound amazing. And yeah, like you said, there is no replacement for being there live. You can taste the food and get to experience it. Yeah. We do actually have a comment and a question from one of our viewers, Daisy. She said she would like to hear more on the meal plan.
The meal plan, our prices on our menus range anywhere from the entrees, anywhere from $15.95 up to $19.95. The meal plan is 10 meals for $170, and you can get anything on the menu, and you get 2 complimentary juices as well. What I always recommend to people, make sure you get a meal that's $15.95 or above, because I've had people say, well, let me get the guac and chips. That's $9.95. You're losing money. Don't do that. But it does represent about a 15 to 20% discount off the menu. And it never expires. And again, it is for one person only. And you can get as many, because it's, and I grimace when I say it, I had somebody come in and get all 10 meals at once. I don't recommend that. If you're going to do it, I would grab maybe 4 meals at a time. Because with it being organic, I don't want it to, it's going to decompose a lot faster than normal, something regular with preservatives. I hope that answered the question. If not, let me know.
And she said they're pickup pickup only.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the capacity to deliver at this point. Unless you're within a 5-mile radius and I have help that day, I'll be happy to do it.
Well, that's great. So I have one question for you. Back when you transitioned your diet and you were working with doctors after your diagnosis, what did they say after you transition your diet? I know you said some of them were surprised at the results that you got, but I'm curious to hear what their reaction was.
I laugh at it now. One, how are you going to get your protein? You're never going to be able to survive. And I just looked and went, well, let me just try this. I don't want to do shots. But yeah, they thought I was out of my mind, except for my neurologist who was vegan because he got it. But it was one thing that I had to educate them on. And in here, I walked in with a presentation one day from my my family doctor, my DO. And I said, I want you to look at this. Do you realize a serving of broccoli has more protein than a chicken breast? And it's easier to process. Your metabolism will, you will metabolize a plant-based diet far more effectively and efficiently than an animal-based diet, which is why I tell people, for example, I'm going to go back to these nachos. If you saw those earlier, now I lost you guys. Carrie, can you pull me back up again? I'm sorry.
I can't share your screen, but we
Okay.
can see you. We just can't see your slides.
Okay, well, I can't see you guys anymore. Sorry about that. But those nachos, if you eat those, I promise you're not going to need a nap in an hour. They're full of fiber. And see, and that was the thing, talking to the doctors, they said, well, you need more fiber in your diet. And how are you going to get that? I said, well, what's better than plants, you know, nuts, seeds, and all that? It's a high fiber diet. And, you know, it's funny because I just had labs done about 2 weeks ago and my cholesterol is down. And that's a family trait of mine too. Everybody has high cholesterol and heart disease. That's down. My triglycerides are perfect. Everything was in check, including my blood sugar. And that's another benefit you get with a plant-based diet. Your diabetes will be far more in check if you're conscious of what you're putting in your body.
Mm-hmm. Were the doctors and providers that you were working with at the time, even though they might have not been familiar with what you were trying to do, were they supportive at least?
No, they told me I was crazy, except for my neurologist. Told me I was absolutely crazy. They said, we'll see you back in a couple months and you'll be on, you know, cholesterol meds. I'm not. I was, but now I don't have to.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that worked out well. And now, yeah, you can definitely show them what you were aiming for worked.
Absolutely. And thank you for asking me that question too.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Marguerite. I know we when I was at the class, I know you get personal, you have a lot of personal relationships, friends that are your clients and customers that come regularly. Have you seen remarkable changes? Do people come and they're already vegan? Do they come and they are just not? Could you share like some of the amazing stories that of people that maybe came to try it, they decided, oh, I'm going to eat this more, and then they keep on coming and they're telling you about their healthy changes without meds and things like, or weight loss?
I'll tell you where I hear it most from is people that have either autoimmune diseases or something like cancer, or I've had people come in and say, oh my gosh, a one broke my heart. She had leukemia. She said, but I don't even care because I want to eat. I want to eat what I want to eat. I don't know how much longer I have. I said, yeah, you know what? I can't help you on that. And the reason is she wanted almond butter pie. I said, I can't sell that to you. I cannot in good faith do this because I know that sugar feeds cancer in any form. I said, just do me a favor, just listen to me and let's try something different. And then that's when I hooked her on, you know, things like nachos and the wraps and whatnot. I'm very, very conscious of people's health. I know what it did for me, and the last thing I want to do is hurt anybody. So yeah, I've established some really good relationships with people as a result of that. You know, I'm sincere about it. I love people and I care about them. I want to make you well. And I mean, look at my background versus what I'm doing today. I mean, there's a huge difference. I'm a completely different person. A lot of that had to do with that medical diagnosis. You know, everybody said, oh my gosh, it's a death sentence for you. You won't die from MS. It is not a life-threatening disease. It is an independence-threatening disease. And if you can change your lifestyle, this was an actual blessing for me, honestly. God knows where I would have been by now if I hadn't gotten it. Probably sitting behind a desk half gone.
Now, if there's anyone listening to the recording in the future and they have a diagnosis of MS, or maybe they have been living with it. What would you, I know you're not a doctor and we're not nurses, or, we don't have medical background, but your personal experience, could you share anything of what you feel? Are there any books or things that led you into the information with the plant-based diet?
Yeah, two books come to mind when I first got diagnosed. One, the Walls Protocol Diet. Dr. Terry Walls was diagnosed with MS, and she did it through diet also. She has some things that I loved a lot of what she did, but there were some things I kind of went, yeah, even that's a little bit off from me. The book to go, it's been a long time since I've read it. It's been at least 20 years, but I would need to go back and give you the particulars on it. The other one is Montel Williams' book, Climbing Higher, I think the name of it was.
Oh,
And that is so unbelievably inspiring. And he talks about how he got the diagnosis and what he did to change his life. And again, through diet and exercise. You just need to know that somebody's out there going through the same thing that you are. And these two books really resonated with me.
that's great. Yeah, we'll have to, maybe you'll look up the titles and we could even post those.
Okay, happy to do that. Like I say, I know
See if there's,
Climbing
maybe
Higher for sure, but the Walls Protocol was
yeah,
the
that
other
may
one.
be updated. Maybe that
Yeah.
particular physician has updated her research and
Mhm.
has new books out too.
Yeah.
That's great. Do
Okay.
we have, I
One
think
more
I see
question
some.
from participant. How quickly did you transition to raw diet?
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not 100% raw. I'm probably about 80%. Because sometimes I just need a little something and plus, guys, remember I cater too. So I cook that food and I have to taste it. I don't eat it, but I'll taste it and, dispose of it. But I'm not 100% raw. But I will tell you, when I don't eat raw, my body knows it.
Hmm.
And I guess I am sorry to be that way. I'm on the go all the time, and a lot of times I will eat what's available, which is still vegan. But if my husband makes something like, all right, I'll eat that just for convenience sake. And like I say, once in a while, it's like, yeah, I really would like a warm soup. Although our raw soups are fantastic. It will take you, you will get cravings as you transition to raw, though. I promise you that. Sometimes you have to listen to your body because you might get angry, you might get hangry, you might not feel quite right. So listen to your body. But I do have, there's one woman in particular, Janet, you were in class with her, Christine, lovely lady. She is 100% raw. And she's been like that for 20 years, and my hat is off to her.
Yeah, she is very knowledgeable.
Oh,
She
extremely.
was the one who
Extremely.
went to Hippocrates
Yes.
and down in Florida and
Yes.
learned from them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, it's all about the community and sharing and people researching, doing what is good for them. I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables that are raw. I try to focus on that. And when I am cooking or heating something up, I try to not boil the heck out of it. And if it is something like a soup, I'm drinking the liquid. So you're
Yeah.
getting the nutrients that are in the liquid. You're not draining that away and throwing it down the sink. So I think that's important, but high heat, I'm more cautious about, or just aware of high heat broiling, that I don't do that nearly as much as I used to. And I focus on the plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free. And now I'm leaning more towards incorporating more salads and more raw fruits and vegetables with different combinations.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what you could figure out how to make at the dehydrator and the different flavor combinations of cabbage and carrots, and from desserts to salads to entrees with spices.
Janet, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah.
I need to clarify. when I say I'm not entirely raw, raw is up to 110 degrees. Anything beyond that is considered cooked. So even at 120, I mean, I might eat that. That is not considered raw anymore. But if you're talking about, you know, driving is stop boiling your vegetables. You know, she would boil broccoli to the point that it was mushy. That I don't do. That I don't do. So
Right.
just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, 110 is your threshold.
Well, with your research, when you've dove into that, I'm sure you found that the more naturally, the natural state that we could consume the plants, the better, except for, of course, beans, lentils, things that grains that should be cooked. But I think at Hippocrates, they even they sprout their grains.
You do. Correct.
And I'm not into that yet, but I've grown my own sprouts and broccoli sprouts and things like that in my kitchen. And I like gardening and, you know, because then you know that there's no pesticides and it's organic food out of your yard. And, you know, it's just reading labels, looking for organic, looking for berries and colorful, eating the rainbow is important too.
Can I add one more thing? I don't mean to take
Yeah.
over, but I wanted to,
No,
you know, I've had people come in and say, I'm vegan. Why am I gaining weight? My first question to them is, are you a clean vegan or are you a dirty vegan? Because there is a difference. Clean vegan is whole food, plant-based. The dirty vegans are all these processed, I don't want to talk bad about them, but you know, the fake meats. If you have difficulty reading the label and understanding what it's made out of, don't eat it. That's what's putting on weight. It's not doing your body any health benefit whatsoever. And that's when I hear people go, oh, I stopped at Burger King for an Impossible Whopper. I cringe. May taste really good, not very good for you. And like I say, I'm certainly not trying to discount what they do. People want to be vegan. They think that's the way to do it. Not necessarily. You know, you can make burgers out of walnuts. Walnuts and, in fact, ours, walnuts, sun-dried tomatoes, and mushrooms. And it has the texture and consistency of hamburger meat. That taco meat that I talked about, if you can actually bind that in your hand like hamburger. And that's far healthier for you. And again, your body will metabolize and process a plant-based diet far more efficiently, and you're going to just feel so much better from it.
it is amazing the food that you've created. Did you come up with most of the recipes, or were they there when you bought it? How did that all come about?
When I bought the cafe, there were 5 things on the menu. 5 things.
That's it?
I still have the original menu and I laugh. No, and I'm certainly going to pay or give credit where credit is due. I'm going to give credit to every person that has walked through that door to work there. They'll come up and say, hey, can I try such and such? Absolutely. I mean, make whatever you want. If it works, we'll put it on the menu. If it doesn't, that's okay, but we tried. I've come up with a number of the recipes, but Chef Nick has been instrumental in putting a lot of these things on the menu. And like I say, anybody that's worked there, when they have an idea, let's just try it. You cannot make a mistake in raw prep. I don't want to call it cooking because there's really no cooking involved. Again, if you leave out the leavening agent in a cake, your cake's going to flop. We don't have that problem with raw cooking. I accidentally, one day I didn't have, oh gosh, there was something. Okay, I didn't have chili powder for the nacho drizzle that we do, and that's a really cheesy flavor that we have in that nacho drizzle. I just threw in more nutritional yeast, put in a pinch of cayenne, and I'm telling you, it tasted really fantastic. So if you don't have it the way that you want it, you're just going to turn it into something else, if that makes sense. You just can't make a mistake.
Sounds good.
That's how we came up with the sweetened sesame ginger dressing.
Oh, you ran out of something?
Ran out of something. Yeah, we ran out of whatever sweetened. We had a ranch dressing that we served. I ran out of, I think it was green onions that we put in that. And I said, well, heck, you know, I'm going to throw some agave in this, in the ginger dressing and see what happens. Took it to a whole new level. It is our most popular dressing now.
I think I've read a lot about dressings in the other cooking, a lot of cooking classes that I've taken, and you have to hit to make the meal or the dressing flavorful. It's sweet, something sour, right? Something pungent, something salty. And salty doesn't have to be salt. It could be other ingredients, spices that give it that like tamari, soy sauce, something like that.
Right.
So it's like hitting all 4 or 5 different taste buds on our tongue that makes the food delicious.
Exactly.
Have you taken any cooking classes or any culinary classes, or just read a lot on your own or things
I
online?
read. I
You
read.
what?
No, Google will be your best friend. When I bought the cafe 10 years ago, again, September 1st, I bought it. We were coming up to Thanksgiving. I said, well, heck, we need a Thanksgiving special. So I did a little research on Google and I found raw vegan turkey, which basically is nothing more than almonds, poultry seasoning, um, celery, and onions. But when you process it and you put it together and you dehydrate it, it tastes like turkey, a turkey cutlet. And this was our 11th season running the special.
It's, yeah, I mean, when you think about animal products, we wouldn't eat them without seasoning them because they wouldn't taste good.
Right.
It's the seasoning that you're putting
is.
on it that makes even the animal products that everybody's eating
Right.
palatable, and you have to cook them or barbecue them and do all these things to them, and they're so loaded with saturated fat. So we could mimic all of those and copy them, create different techniques. I recently found someone that was making like a pierogi dough out of almond flour,
Sure.
and basically it was almond flour and I want to say psyllium husk to hold it together.
Yep.
And maybe some almond milk, and they made raw pierogies with, like I think it was it sweet potato? Because Marguerite, you taught me that you could eat sweet potatoes raw. I didn't know that before.
I wouldn't do white potatoes raw, but sweet potatoes are great. Put them in the food processor, add some dates or agave to it, some cinnamon, and you have a great sweet potato dish. I'm going to take it one step further, and I think if you heard me say earlier about the pie crust of the dates and the pecans, put that in a food processor. That's a crumble. You could put that on top. You have a sweet potato casserole.
Nice. Great idea. And
Go
no
for it.
baking involved.
No, totally raw.
And that gives us more nutrients, correct?
Absolutely. Like I say, the minute you introduce a heat source, you will start boiling out everything or cooking out everything that's good for you. And that's why you have to eat more to get, to get more nutrients.
We're hungry because we're starving for the
That's
nutrients, right? Our body
Exactly.
is hungry when we're eating the American diet versus a nutrient dense diet that
Right.
and we're not as hungry once we are filling up with the fiber too.
You will not eat as much with a raw diet. You fill up a whole lot faster.
Sounds
And the
good.
thing is, on the Google, when I said Google's going to be your best friend, get your basics. You can try that recipe, but I guarantee you're going to do better on your own. Get the basics of what they're offering and then tweak it to make it your own. And that's basically what we do.
Good.
I'll just get a basic recipe and make it a whole lot better with our tweaks to it.
Sounds good. Carrie, did you have any other questions?
I don't have any other questions, but I do want to say the one comment you made earlier about, there's no mistakes in the kitchen when you're cooking or eating raw, not necessarily cooking. If you don't make something like it turned out, you just make something else.
Right.
And I think that gives people a lot of hope when they're starting to eat this way. It's okay, you may have a recipe, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And if you leave an ingredient out or it doesn't turn out the way that you planned, so you created something else, but
Right.
it's still good. And you can kind of play around and be creative in the kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, get crazy with it. don't limit yourself. And again, we went from 5 items on a menu to a 4-page menu and 350 flavors of cheesecakes. In fact, while I was making notes, Janet, I'm going to do a key lime pomegranate cheesecake. I'm also going to do a key lime strawberry and a maple black walnut. That's going to be next.
Oh, wow. See, she gets inspiration
Listening
from.
to you, that's how we get the inspiration. Exactly.
Well, that
Cool.
sounds great. I definitely would love to check out the restaurant sometime.
I'd
It
love to
sounds
see you.
amazing. Yeah.
I'd love to meet you.
Well, it doesn't seem like there are any questions, and we are running short on time, so I'm going to wrap things up. I would love to thank you, Marguerite, for being here and sharing your story and your recipes. I know I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers that are live have learned a lot, and I'm sure the viewers that will be watching this later will love it.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And Janet, thank you for all of your recipes and your fun facts and tips. And we will definitely post all of those in the show notes once this is posted on YouTube.
Awesome.
And thank you for everyone who was here live and those that will watch the recording later. We invite you to use the show notes with all the quick links that Janet will put together for us. And we encourage you to try something new. Experience a new flavor, spice blend, recipe, or an ingredient, and feel free to comment and share what action you decided to take and what you decided to try. And before we say goodbye, I would like to tell you about our program for next month. We are excited to welcome Carol Kozlowski as our guest speaker. Carol is a business consultant specializing in food product risks and recalls. She has spent more than 30 years working in the food safety and risk management field. Carol will be discussing various topics centered around food safety, labeling, food codes, and offering her expertise with a Q&A opportunity at the end. She will also be sharing a traditional Polish family Christmas recipe. So be sure to attend and bring any burning questions you have for her to answer. And just as a reminder, the date for December's event is Tuesday, the 19th at the same time, 7 p.m. And we hope to see everyone back and invite a friend to join us.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.